Welcome to the 77th lecture of Digital Electronics. In this lecture, we are going to start with the module 4. The basic key idea in module 4 is sequential circuits. Now let me think of sequential circuits in a little depth in this lecture. Coming into sequential circuits. Before going into sequential circuits, till now we have dealt with only combinational circuits. So what is combinational circuits? In combinational circuits, what you are having is you are having a circuit, a combinational circuit. Circuit. Inputs are there, some inputs are there, and some outputs are generated. Here you can say that outputs are related only to the present inputs or present value of inputs. Okay. Such kind of circuits are known as combinational circuits. Okay, that is in the case of a combinational circuits, all the outputs what is coming up is already dependent on the whatever input it is given at that particular instant of time. Now let me introduce to you about the sequential circuits. Now, what is meant by a sequential circuit? What is meant by a sequential circuit? That is the next question. Okay. Now let me start with a simple example here. All of you are having energy meter in your home, right? This energy meter will be a digital energy meter nowadays. In digital energy meter, you are having 6 digits to count. That is, you are having say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digits. They are the count 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That will be the initial count, and initially this count will be increased, then this count, after that go into this count. Now, immediately when the power goes off, whatever is the count, it will get stored. Okay, whatever is the count, when the power is going off, what is the count? It will be stored. And when the power comes in and the power comes back, when the power is back, what happens? The count starts from where it has stopped. Okay. Now if you are reading through the lines, what does that mean? This process requires memory. This process requires a memory. Okay. So that is a key difference between a sequential circuit and a combinational circuit. So sequential circuit means it will take care of the past values as well as the present value. It will not take care of the future values. Okay. So in sequential circuit, it takes care of the past values and present input. That means it has memory. Or in another way, what we can say is that if you are looking through these lines, that is when the power goes off, and when it is back, what happens? The stored memory is fed back as input. That is the instant when the power is going off, and at the instant when power is coming back, that whatever is stored is coming as the first input to the dial. Okay. So that is why sequential circuits is said to have memory. That means the output of the sequential circuits depends on past values and present input. Now if you are drawing a basic block diagram of a sequential circuit, it has inputs and some combination circuit is there inside that. Some combination circuits is there. Some combination circuits. From that combination circuits, outputs are coming. Now, here what is the only thing we need to incorporate? In combination circuits, if you are able to incorporate some memory, then that becomes a sequential circuit. So here we are having memory elements. Okay. If these memory elements are incorporated into a combination circuit, then it becomes a sequential circuit. So that is a basic block diagram of a sequential circuit. Okay. So coming back to the same example of this digital energy meter. Inside that energy meter, we will be having combination circuit. But along with this combination circuit, you will have the memory part. This combination circuit takes care of the present input and the memory takes care of the past values. Now coming into the difference between sequential circuits and combination circuits. So there is a difference between combinational and sequential circuits. Okay. So basically there are four differences between combination and sequential circuits. So here I am having combination circuit. Here I am having sequential circuits. Now coming into the first difference. Or first point. Here output depends only on present input. Output depends only on present input. Whereas here what happens? Here output depends on past and or you might in another way. Outputs depends on present values. Output depends on present values or present input and memory. Now coming to the second point. Okay. In combinational circuit, there is no memory. Here there is no memory. Whereas in sequential circuit, what is there? Memory is there. Or some memory elements are there. Now coming to the third point. Coming to the third difference. See here, if you are looking back to the block diagram, along with the combination circuit, you are adding some memory elements. That means circuit is getting complicated or circuit is getting into a higher level in the case of sequential circuit, whereas in combination circuit there is only a simple circuit without attaching the memory. So that is third one. So third one is in combination circuit it is bit faster because propagation delay between input and output depends on gates used in the circuit. Okay, because a combination circuit is basically a combination of gates. And what is the propagation delay? Propagation delay means the time required for the output to appear when an input is given. That is known as propagation delay. Whereas in the case of this sequential circuit, it is slower compared to combinational circuits. Compared to combinational circuit, it is slower. Okay. Now coming to the last difference, it is the fourth difference. In combinational circuit, it is comparatively easier to design. It is easier to design because we are taking only the present input values and the required output values, and we are designing a combinational circuit. Whereas here it is harder to design. Here it is comparatively harder to design because we need to consider the present value of output as well as the previous output. Because we need to consider present and previous outputs and inputs. That is why it is becoming harder. Okay. So this is the basic difference between combination and sequential circuits. Okay. So this short lecture was an introduction to this sequential circuit. So we have started with combination circuit. So what is combination circuit? So combination circuit is basically the output depends on present value of inputs, whereas in a sequential circuit it depends on past values of inputs as well as present value of inputs, which means that it requires a memory. A classic example of a sequential circuit is your energy meter, in which the values are getting stored. That stored value, that means when the power is going off, the corresponding value is stored, and again when the power comes in, it will start from the point where you have stopped. That means it is having some memory. Another example is if you are looking into these petrol pumps or these gasoline stations, what happens is that somebody has taken the fuel and it has to be resetted to zero, and from there only it can work. Okay, so there is setting and resetting is there. Okay, some problem is there with the sequential circuit. Okay, so that is already embedded in the sequential circuit, because without setting or resetting we cannot redesign the circuit, or we cannot design the circuit. Now coming to the block diagram of a sequential circuit, it is basically a combinational circuit with memory. Okay. Now coming into the difference between combinational circuits and sequential circuits. In combinational circuits, outputs depends only on present input, whereas in sequential circuits, output depends on present value of input and memory. Whereas in combinational circuit, that means there is no memory, whereas in sequential circuits, memory is there. Combinational circuits are comparatively faster depending on the propagation delay. What is the propagation delay? Propagation delay of a gate is the time required for the output to appear when an input is given. That means for each gate there is different propagation delays, and if you are comparing these propagation delays, then combinational circuit is comparatively faster than sequential circuits. Now coming into combinational circuits, it is comparatively easier to decide because it has only relation between present input and present output. That is, here relation is only between present input and present output. Okay, that is the reason why it is easier to design. Whereas in the case of sequential circuit, it is comparatively harder to decide, because it is here we need to consider present and previous values of input as well as output. Okay, so that is an introduction lecture to this sequential circuits. Hope you have understood what is sequential circuit. Okay, so in the next lecture we will be going with different classifications of sequential circuits, and after that we will be dealing with some basics of this sequential circuits, or some basic combinational circuit which is related to this sequential circuits. Thank you.